subsections as he enters the stage. His most recent book is We Don't Make It Out Alive, and he has a host of other books to sell, some merchandising. So get with him to purchase a copy. I'm proud to say I've known him for many years, consider him a great friend, probably one of the most brilliant writers I've ever met in my life. And here he is, right now in the flesh. Weasel, come on up.
I think that PA system is...
Delayed applause, always great. This PA system on?
Yeah, I believe they did set it up. You might have to turn
the switches up. The switches on the sides, actually. No, of the.
On this here?
It's over here. I like seeing you up the line. You saw each other. I work out. And it's like great. So if you want to turn it down, so you see here.
All right, you guys hear me? Hey.
I'm going to turn it up a little bit.
You guys can hear me just like this, right? I'm not going to worry about that. As Zach just said, I have a book out. It's called We Don't Make It Out Alive. And I'm broke and desperate. So $5 a piece. If you want a copy, get with me. I take cash only. So title is interesting. It came from a YouTube video. About a year ago, my job made me so fucking miserable. I wanted to put a bullet through my skull, literally. And so my job research, when I was looking at transferring careers, I was looking at things like picking up garbage every day, or truck driver, anything to get out of where I was at. So this truck driver on this YouTube video said, "We don't make it out alive," and that's kind of the theme of my book. We don't make it out alive. What I write about is living. As Buddy Wakefield says, living for a living is one of the hardest things you can do. So I'm going to start with a poem called The Hoarder. I was in Ohio years ago. This long time ago. I don't think I was married yet. Long time ago, I was going to move up and be with a buddy of mine from high school. Had a job interview. Could have been the best moment of my life, honestly. Wasted money for these damn flight tickets. And then I got to the house I was going to stay in, where I was going to move, and the shittiest place I've ever seen in my life. So, The Hoarder. Chilled air stands still as the door squeals open like a pig up for slaughter. The house welcomes me with dust, and the scent of flesh rotting stabs my nostrils. There's no bodies, but bags of garbage pile amidst shit-filled corners, and cats in awe seeing just a new body. The owner is a baker. She tells me she makes the best cakes from her kitchen. Blinding yellow walls expose an overfilled sink, dishes soaking in black sludge, turning my stomach, forcing me to hold back the urge to vomit. She leads me to my room. We walk up shaky steps, moving farther from the door. The walls just seal me inside with her maze of trash and cats. I think of running, but how can I escape where there's nowhere else to go? She tells me the house across the street deals meth, and I think of texting my ex, of sending a SOS, and I wonder if he'll answer. The bed sits on top of a hole in the floor, cracks sprawl away from the mattress like spider webs cemented. And when I plop onto the couch, I felt the stench of piss and musk rise like steam. I close my eyes, breathe in through my nose, stay composed while planning my escape. As you can tell, I didn't move. It's interesting, just all the experiences that we do go through, and just all the conversations that we have with people. So what I'm about to read is a poem with a conversation I had with a waitress at Denny's. It's existential crisis at Denny's. The waitress tells me she used to own a cow. Called it Freezer because that's where it went when it died. When she tells me it was the meanest fucking animal she owned, I tell her over cold eggs, soggy toast, that the art of dying is just like growing a backbone. It's not how you die that makes the foundation. It's knowing that the other side is just 2 feet away and that you'll have to travel light when you cross. So, when you're in a relationship, sometimes you go through some pretty rough shit. Especially when you've been in a long ass one. The poem I'm going to read, I think was accepted in, some anthology about love. I can't remember what it was called. But the poem is called When You Are Engulfed in Exhaustion. We are sleeping together, your head soft against my shoulder, breath warming my ear, while the air conditioner turns our room into a freezer. I count the dust on the ceiling, trying to figure out when it was born and how long it'll finally take to die. Your mouth whispers something, but I couldn't hear it. It's funny how often that happens. Even when you're awake, I can't hear you. You have said I'm welcome inside, yet I can't make my home inside your bones. Embers of your flesh have grown cold, carrying fragments we can't regain. You tell me you love me, and yet I still don't know how to tell you that my skull is consumed by your emptiness. So, every reading I do, I tend to do a poem about my mother. Every poet has a poem about their mom, about some fucked up thing that they did when they were younger. It happens. I don't think I've ever done one about my dad, though. He was an asshole, too.
Aren't they all?
This one's called These Things Will Pass. My father told me he didn't recognize faggots as people, that animals must pray to find forgiveness. So I wrote my prayers in a notebook, ripped out pages, allowed the words to scar my intestines. It only made me sick, made me break apart the towers, my arms, and burn out the prayer. They have all forgotten God. We allow our hearts to be filled with pistols and brimstone. Innocence is a doctor and burned from our bodies, dreaming a luxury forgotten, the soft persuasion that understood we had to heal. I pulled my journals from my veins, laid them like body bags in the ground to spread roots in dirt, my own scripture singed to the grass. These are my apparitions, painted doors on their chests, not ready to reveal how desolate they've become. The ashes of their sins still stuck in the silos of their broken throats. I watch the stars, remind myself that paper-cut wounds are not scars, that these wavering prayers shall pass. I suppose I need to find a happy one at some point. This one's kind of I used to be an Uber driver about a year ago. Did it for a few months, thinking of doing it. Don't do it for long, because it ain't worth it. This poem's called She Jerked Him Off in My Car.
That sounds fun.
I wonder what it's about.
Under empty moonlight, down I-45 North, the Stones played devil rhythms, while she slid her hand down his tight forest slacks. Sitting in limbo traffic, I rolled the window down, lit up a cigarette, and let the smoke dance in fiery summer air. When she sees that cloud of smoke, she yells, "You can't smoke that thing in a car." Guess she didn't think I'd see. I take another long puff and tell her, "Well, you can't jack dudes off in my car." Lady removed her hand. Man let his eyes wander out the window. I put my cig out on the street. "We were only passing the time," she says as she adjusts herself. I turn the stones up, inch further to the exit, and tell her, "Time doesn't fuck around. Drop you off at 5. So let's see. Let's see if maybe, who knows? So for a couple of years I've been seeing a therapist. Very fortunate to have the ability to do so. It's not cheap. But this is about the first time I sat down with him. Because when you meet a therapist for the first time, they're always professional, they're always, they have a way about them that they carry. And that's not how this one did. So, it's called, my therapist tells me he's gonna fuck me up. My hands, smooth flesh stretched over the couch. Its firmness holding my body hostage, keeping it from diving down into the void of my stomach. I tell him I can touch the ether, that it's just at the tips of my fingers, and he tells me he can't solve all my problems. I'll have to stay level until he's dug through the toxins rustling around in my skull. I want to smoke. The package of cigarettes rustles in my pocket as I shift around on tough leather. My heart quakes beneath withered bones. I think they'll crack. One beat, one fracture. Pop, pop, pop. This room feels sideways, yet we haven't moved. I tell him there's not much left to fuck up. He says there's more than I can imagine. How am I on time, buddy? A couple more?
Oh, you're doing fine, buddy.
Got time?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So that was We'll Make It Out Alive. Like I said, if you want a copy, they're $5 a piece. I have several, and I'm broke. So please. I'm going to read a little bit from my last book, A Warm Place to Self-Destruct. It's a very Nine Inch Nails inspired title. And let's see, what do I got here? See, the problem when you don't actually plan out your readings is you're stuck here with trying to figure out what you want to read. Let's try and find something happy shit. Okay, this one isn't sad, I promise. This is called Interlude. Waiting for our food, we stand in the drive-thru at 1 a.m. Pale lights flicker underneath barren skies. At the edge of consciousness, you huddle against me. Cold hands linger close to my chest. Cars whisper ripe exhaustion while tired cooks nuke frozen patties between stale buns. We stand silent against the air, holding our yawns, wondering what parking lots look like during the day. Weary hands toss brown paper bags to the window. We walk home listlessly, dreaming of stars to follow, wondering if this road will end. How many people here hate roaches? Cool.
The flying ones suck.
The flying ones are terrible. They come at you on purpose.
Yes.
I hate the flying ones. And I'm amazed to see that not everyone rose their hand, so that's interesting too. So,
Wait, what kind of roaches?
any kind of roaches. Any kind of roaches are terrible.
Well, there's one type I like. Yeah, I would like
Not
one
the
type
star
of roach.
kissing.
Okay, well, we'll get to the types that you two like here in a second. This is about my spirit animal, roaches. I shudder when I see them on my stove, fluttering wings in the darkness, jutting out erratic spasms when the lights flush out. There's an infestation somewhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't be hanging around as often as they do. I killed one on my wall today, slammed the good shoe into its back, wriggling it around, white noise scraping as remains fall. They always leave some sick residue after. It's disgusting. The crunch, yeah. So what's your favorite type of roach? Who said they had it? I'll start with you. What's yours?
Oh, no, I just,
No?
the
Okay.
kind that,
They're hissing roaches.
that roach.
If a roach is hissing at me, I'm going to kill it. Anyway, someone said they had a favorite type of roach. What was
They
it?
have stingers.
Stingers.
White?
What?
That was a bad joke.
Okay.
Cha cha cha.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Roaches do bite though.
Yes.
I know. Believe me, I know. You don't ask me how I know, but I know. What we got? What? Two more? One more?
We're at 17 minutes, so maybe like 3, 4, 5,
3, 4, 5?
something like that.
Okay. I'll do two.
If you want, I don't know if you're taking requests, but if you do, I have one in mind.
Oh, what's the request?
Passing through.
Passing through. That's from my last book. I gotta pull the last book out. All right. I gotta find it too. Oh, here it is. All right. So Zach knows the story of this one, but not everyone here does. Me and my husband, every year, we take a trip down to Alabama. Every year. Every Christmas. It's gonna be interesting this year. We got some people that ain't talking with us. So not gonna be too much of a happy Christmas this year, but we'll figure it out as we go. We stopped in Mississippi, literally at the border, because I needed gas and I need to stretch my legs out because I'm the only one driving. And when you're the only one who drives, it takes a toll on you. Makes you irritated, pissed off. So this is about, I'll just put it to you this way. Don't stop in Mississippi. Just don't do it.
I've
Don't.
been to the southern part. Oh no, that's Missouri. Never mind. That was the big-
Missouri? Missouri's different. Missouri's different.
Bad.
I have family in Mississippi.
Sorry.
I literally have a great uncle who eats roadkill.
You learn things every day. This is called passing through. Stop for gas at the border of Mississippi. Mom and pop gas station where the tanks wore their dust as badges because they survived and still haven't retired. We walked in to pay the bill, grab ourselves a bottle of caffeine to wake up from seeing trees, dirt, and cars. That's all there is. Nothing, just trees, dirt, and cars when you're traveling across state lines. Cashier's hands shook as she rung up our pile of candy bars, energy drinks, and Take Fives. And I wondered if the cracks on her hands spread her skin like earth when it quakes. Two men stood on each side like bodyguards. Crumbs shuffled through their beards as they stared me down while I reached for my wallet. One leaned over and said, "It's a brown boy like you doing this side of Mississippi." I looked over to my husband, whispered for him to wait in the car, and said, "Just passing through." His eyes searched for something inside me, as if to find any excuse to say that I was lying. He brushed his denim jacket back, revealed his .45 hanging at his waist, his hand eager to pull it out and shoot me dead. Our eyes fought like two flames in separate fires, each flicker adding fuel to each other's disgust. She gave me a total. I slid $25 across, raised the sleeves of my hoodie. Didn't wait for the change. I wanted to tell him to stuff his pride up his ass and pull the trigger. He wanted to be a man, beat his chest with his gun, say he killed the brown boy because it's people like me who make America suffer. Alright, I'm gonna close out with just one. It's a long one, I think. Yeah, that's a long one. So I'm working on a poetry CD. It's going to combine the two books. I don't know how much I'm going to charge for it yet. I'll figure it out. Recorded it all, and I'm just waiting for someone to master it because you put me in Audacity, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So, but this poem is on there. It's about a very, very old boyfriend. It's called The Story of Adam. My notebook is the name of every dude I ever wanted to fuck. Slowly diminishing, turning lust-driven thinking into handwritten bullets about getting close to living with your addiction, about putting horses to rest after running them dry. You see, there's poetry inside every one of us. Just crack open your ribcage, strike the match against your heart, and you'll see the caveman drawings tattooed along the inner linings of your flesh, early innovations of your story, telling you that you still don't know you're amazing, that you can do anything. There is no one as beautiful as you are when you're open. Our blood is not the same, but we can make the earth shake when we drain the ink from our fingers, sharing words lost alongside roads at dawn. I left my prayer beads at the altar of all my midnight explorations, giving thanks to the stories I have been left with, but there are no mantras for the dead. I still stain their words with my blood, but they like fuses to shoot rocks through our past, broken muses like the early morning words drizzled on the scraps of paper, breaking the silence of the calamity, clap, clap, clap of the keyboard, fully automatic words escaping the cavities not yet filled in my bones, burning cigarettes on my forearm. I have named them Adam. Second chance deliriums injected into my veins. Adam, we grow so far apart from each other, but I still offer up sacrifices of myself so I can taste the cigarettes on your tongue. I pen my thoughts into you, Adam. I pray that you will walk with me into the next world. Adam, I'm still searching for the crossroads of our story, and as long as I can remember, this is how the story goes. I hitched a ride on an airplane, rode this bad boy wherever it wanted to go, sat through the turbulence, those pushes and pulls and pushes and pulls, closed my eyes so I could imagine our stories without words. Only I didn't have to imagine, because our words never existed. I rode this plane all night long, made a stop in some town I had never heard of, but when I saw you, I draped my fingers on your surface, much like God would if he were still alive today. But when my plane took off into the sky, there was no camera behind me, no fade to black, no credits rolling up to show us the parts we played in each other's lives. I was only left with the drifting delirium that you lured me into, writing apocryphal manuscripts out of broken typewriter keys, typesetting unanswered emergencies like the night you huddled against me. Remember how your body quaked from the cold as we watched ghosts dance around our window, listening to you singing melancholic love songs? You know magic was happening when you whispered our dreams between the notes. But magic isn't always love. The next morning we shared our coffee in silence, shadows intertwining as the sun as we tried to shake the break of character we exposed each other to. Lost in the sacrifice we could not make, but we were ready to return to anarchy the same night. We were children, enamored at the idea of attachment to each other, afraid of how easily we would break, fragile arms holding our names, letters twirling between our fingers like we were schoolgirls in love. Ashamed as I am to say, it took me years to realize that we're not the end of a movie. I took my typewriter, threw it out to the lawn, set it on fire. I was frustrated with knowing it could only type your name, each letter engraved on slivers of paper. This poem is an apology letter to the both of us for how far I allowed it to go, for forgetting and some parts just need to remain buried. Adam, I have forgotten how you look, but my body trembles when I remember how you taste. Thank you.